Hi guys, I'm Danny, and I started a Sunday gym because I've noticed lately that people tend to go to colleges and universities without actually knowing why they're there. And afterwards, starting jobs that are unfulfilling. So I'm interviewing different professionals to see what they have to say and share their knowledge and experience with you. I hope you enjoy it. Diane, thank you for being with me. How are you doing today?
Pleasure. I've never done a podcast with someone from Bulgaria, so I'm pretty excited.
It's like any other, so I don't think there should be difference, but I'm pretty excited to have you on too because you have a
Thank
lot
you.
to share. The program will be focused on three main questions. What do you do for a living? How did you get there? And how did you know that this was the way to go? So that's what you do for a living, please.
Okay, so what I do for a living is triple. I've got three different avenues. First is fashion. From the time I was a tiny little girl, about 3 years old, and was able to pick up a crayon and draw a stick figure, I put a dress on it and punched in polka dots. The die
Nice.
was set. I was obsessed with fashion. I did fashion for many years and then got into some stupid lawsuit with this huge Hong Kong conglomerate that wanted to take my name public, but didn't want to pay me. And I lost my name for a while, couldn't have it on the label, was starving to death. And one day got a call, and the call was, "Hello, we're from QVC. We think you'd be good on TV." And I actually hung up on them.
What?
I thought it was a joke.
You thought it was a
I
prank
thought
call?
I thought it was a joke, a prank call. They called back and said, "No, no, it's not a joke." And my answer was, "Well, your timing is terrible. I have lost the use of my name in a lawsuit. Until that's settled, what good could I do you?" And they said, "Oh, that's no problem. We'll just call you Diane."
What?
And yeah, and that's how I got on TV. I had introduced washable silk to America and then the UK.
Quite pragmatic if you really think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they wanted my washable silks, and I did all my own hand painted prints and stuff. They wanted it on TV. It translated very well. But my big moment came many years later. I got on air in 1994, the end of 1994. But around 2013, we got a new CEO. She was a woman. I liked doing washable silks, but I never really wanted to wear my clothing. Other people loved it. It wasn't for me.
Yeah.
I addressed rock and roll stars in my youth, in the 60s going into the 70s. Janis Joplin, Gracie Slick and the Jefferson Airplane, Sly and the Family Stone, Rod Stewart. I did hand-painted denim and leather, hand-jeweled, cut, patched, resewn. And so I wanted to do denim, and there was no big denim personality on QVC, which is all over Europe, and I was there,
Yeah.
or HSN, the sister channel. New female CEO. She had been there at the very ground stage of Ralph Lauren polo jeans. No one had ever heard of a status jean before. So she knew denim. She gave me a chance. And the reason why was women go into middle age, hormones change, the body changes, but fashion doesn't. And suddenly you could still be in your head and your heart the coolest girl on the block, but you can't look cool anymore because you can't fit into anything. That was me. And one day I just got so sick of it, and I was so used to being, a blue jean baby, that I just went out and bought 3 yards of denim. I had a professional sewing factory in New York City at the time. We took all my measurements, made a pair of jeans that fit me, a middle-aged woman. I was About 58 and a half, 59 at the time. It so changed my attitude about life and aging and being an older female that I brought the idea to her. And she said, well, okay, I get your point, but you're expected to do $500, $600, $700,000 an hour in sales in prime time evening. We can't risk that. So I got 5 a.m. on a freezing cold February morning with a host who was approximately, I would say, close to 300 pounds, and said, I would rather commit suicide than wear a jean on air. So we're screaming at one another. I'm screaming like, you can't do this to me. You can't not support me when I'm premiering a product. And she was like, yeah, really? Try me. I'm not wearing jeans on air. Bottom line, camera comes on. We're live. I explain the philosophy of the jean, which is built for a middle-aged body, bigger in the waist, bigger in the tummy, flatter in the behind, more space in the hips. We sold 5,000 jeans in 3 minutes. We had nothing left to sell for the rest of the hour.
That's remarkable.
Those women, yeah, that was what I call a
2013,
career light bulb moment. Yeah.
2013.
That was 2013.
Yeah, remarkable. Yeah. That's pretty something.
Yeah. And then, so we couldn't even keep up with the demand. And at a certain point, I thought, wait a second. I don't think it matters whether you're eating pasta in Italy, snails in Paris, or fish and chips in the UK. All women have the same hormones and they age the same. Why not make it a global company? So I went to the CEO of QVC and I pitched my case and I said, please just let me be in the UK. I need to be in a country where I speak the language. And we shot to #1 immediately. And then my customers started calling me the queen of jeans. And we built $100 million a year at retail brand off of one pure light bulb moment in my brain. And I want to tell you that beside her, nobody supported my idea. I knocked on so many doors of backers saying,
well, you did say that she was pretty experienced because, Polo and Ralph Lauren.
She was.
I guess with that experience, she kind of spotted on you and she knew
she gave me airtime. Yeah. And she gave me respect. And I paid her back 1,000-fold with the top performing fashion brand forever on tele-retail. But I think my point to the audience is, it was a brilliant idea. I recognized it. I brought it to my business partner. He said, that is the dumbest idea I've ever heard of. He said, who wants to see fat old chicks in fitted jeans? Ugh. And nobody believed in me. But so I think the important thing is, if you think in business, you've got a great idea, an original idea that hasn't been tried or tested anymore, or you could do, don't count on other people to be as smart as you are. You're the smart one. You thought this up. They may be frightened of it. They may be threatened by it,
or having doubts.
Total doubts.
Yeah.
But it was amazing. And then in the middle of it all, I got breast cancer. I had to take a year off work. I came back after 9 months. I couldn't even get a year off. Had the best show I ever had. Thanksgiving 2022 sold 225,000 jeans in one day on air. Yeah.
And that's only on air. We're not talking about online sales. We're not talking. That's only.
No, we're not even talking about the international sales in
Yeah.
the UK, Italy, France, Germany, Canada, and Australia. And then this past December 2022, I thought, okay, I've done this. I always do, new year, new you. What do you want to do with your life? How much weight are you going to lose after the holidays? So I thought, do you really want to do this for the rest of your life? You're very comfortable. I've done it for 30 years. I could be in a coma and still do it. And the answer was no. I want to challenge myself and do something new, something innovative, something helpful for my generation of women. So I said, I'm leaving. I want to become a silver-haired influencer on social media. I want my own podcast. I want to talk about subjects bigger than just a gene. And
I want to tell you something.
I'm
Normally,
loving it.
people have that respect, but like on a deep level, respect for somebody, because you were pretty much on the top of things, right? When you left, and you,
Yeah, oh yeah, I was number one, and
yeah,
no
and to leave when you're
competitors in
number one,
sight.
that's pretty commendable, because you just felt it and you did it. It's not like you could have done so many other things, yet you did it. So yeah, respect for that.
I could have just stayed there and been repetitive, but I think first of all, I'm 78 years old, so you have to
Is
ask
it sleeping in
yourself.
the refrigerator or something?
I do like cold weather, but not that
I
cold.
can tell. I had an interview with a guy. He was from Canada. I forgot how old he was, but he looked like 10 years younger than me. And I'm not really much of a level here because I look like I just came back from the war of Troy. So, and I like, are you sleeping in a refrigerator? He like, well, I live in Canada, so kind of, yeah. But yeah, I never would
I'm
have.
very health minded. I think that one of the reasons why I left what I was doing, which was comfortable but not thrilling anymore, was I just thought back to my youth and what made me who I was when I was young, because I had to keep climbing that ladder to success. It took a long time. I mean, way past when everybody else in a youth obsessed industry, fashion, had disappeared, left, aged out. I was still there. So my light bulb moment came at 59 and a half years old. But when you have a mortality based disease threatening you, like cancer, in my case, breast cancer, you really start rethinking,
Yeah.
what does every moment mean? And I realized that I didn't really love what I was doing anymore. And did I have more talent than just designing clothing? Had I learned all my communication skills with 30 years on TV? And what could I do with podcasts? And how could I help and give incredible advice to my generation of women, the baby boomers, who really need it? And so, yeah, I took a leap of faith, and wow, I'm so happy. I just
You look
love
happy.
every day. Yep, that's me, radiating happiness. And that is for taking a chance and then saying to myself afterwards, I mean, I thought, oh my God, I'm the worst person in the world to retire. I've got to be purpose driven. I've got to be busy. I've got to be helping people. I've got to be talking about it. What did you do, Diane, within 4.5 weeks of leaving retail television? I was offered my first weekly podcast, and I did it with a co-host. I thought, I like the guy. but I really want to talk about female subjects and have a female audience. And then we went out on our own, and we call it, the title of my second book, Too Young to Be Old, because I don't care whether I'm 78 or I'm 88. In my head and my heart, I will always be too young to be old.
That's a remarkable story. I had a supervisor, my career started in the government sector, and you know how government people are. I often compare them to if you've seen this movie with Johnny Depp, when he's a pirate and the pirates are part of the ship.
Yeah.
Government workers. They're like part of the building. They put roots on it and everything. It's disgusting. And he was a funny guy in general. And he like, you're as old as you feel like it, which means I died 400 years ago. And they had that little charm in them, but yours is in the other direction. It's even better. So no argument about it. Your story is 100% remarkable. Because the second question was, how did you get there? You kind of covered it. Your story was so fascinating. There was no way I could have, interrupted you or anything. I just
Thank you.
So the third one is, how did you knew that this was the way to go? Now, you highlighted it at the very beginning when you said that ever since you were a kid, you kind of felt about fashion and this and that, which is awesome. But then again, you had those, downfalls at your 50s and ups and downs and ups. Now, truth be told, and I have this thing that all of my guests are wiser than I am. So, this case is no exception, of course. So correct me when I'm wrong, all right? But you could have been a lot of things, like a lot. You have the communication skill. You have the international, you're well-traveled. So you have knowledge about international affairs and this and that. You're charming. And you have,
Thank you.
This level of talk, people, I obviously living witness, people want to hear you. All right. So you could have done a lot of things. You didn't. You have chose very specific things, right? Because, fashion in general, I don't know anything about fashion. If you see the way I dress, you think because like my shirts are like, they have color. Everything else is black. I've been like that since I was born, I guess. So I have no taste in fashion whatsoever, but fashion in general is a broad thing, right? It's not that narrow. So you could have done so many things. You didn't. How did you know that this was the way to go? And the reason I'm asking is probably you've noticed that too. How folks tend to go to colleges, universities, because they have that stigma that you have to be there to secure the future, which for a while now is not exactly true. Because there are a lot of people that are just going to colleges and universities, and once they're done with it, they do something completely different, or they just lost their time. And actually, this is why I made the whole podcast, because I really didn't like that concept and I wanted to do something about it. So that's why I'm collecting all those awesome examples. You, of course, include. How did you know this was the way to go?
So first of all, and I quote David Crosby, great musician from Crosby, Stills and Nash, who said, and he just passed at the age of 84, and said, time at our age, time is our absolute most valuable commodity.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to waste my time staying in an area. Yes, I was totally comfortable. Yes, I was totally respected. Yes, I could have been there forever, but was I doing the very best I could with the moments I have left? And the answer was no. When I was a child, my parents, I am first generation American. My parents came from Ukraine. There was not going to be a daughter who worked. And that's all I wanted to do. I never dreamt about marriage and kids. I dreamt about a career. I dreamt about making beautiful fashion. So I had to leave home at a young age to do what I needed to do. So already at the age of 16, 17, I was fighting. I was saying, okay, I'll leave without a penny, because I know in my heart of hearts, I have to do this. It was so important for me to design. It was like breathing air.
Did you
And
study about that, or did
no,
you?
they would never. I got a 4-year scholarship to the Sorbonne. They burnt the letter without ever telling me. I found out when I was 52 years old. They would no, they were the total blockage. And then in December of 2022, it was like just going up to the top of the Empire State Building, wrapping a bungee cord around me and saying, okay, I'm going to jump off. Woo! I had no idea. How do you do a podcast? I had no clear understanding of the amount of channels I had, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, blah, blah, YouTube. Now I have my own YouTube channel.
The link
But
will
I
be in the
knew
description below, by the way.
what?
The link of your channel is gonna be in the description below.
Oh, great. Okay, the DianeGilman.com. So I had to become a very quick learner. But that was exciting in older age too. I feel like so many of us see old age as the throwaway years, or the years where nothing good is going to happen, or you're never. I started a new business at 78 years old, and I'm having a blast. I am loving it, and I'm learning something new every day. And one thing, if you're in a career for a really long time, you tend to be surrounded by a lot of the same people.
Yeah.
And I didn't like that either. I thought, I want a broader life. I want to learn. And so now I meet people like you every day of the week, and it's so exciting and it's so invigorating, and I am so inspired. And I would just say to anybody, you know what? Taking a chance can be the best thing you ever did in your life. And if you're someone like me that wants to make the most, that was a running theme of my entire life, making the most of my life and the most of every minute, then standing still in a safe space can be actually the most dangerous thing you ever do.
The comfort zone is a killer. And
Yeah.
I've always knew that, although I have always been doing the same thing, like I'm an accountant or a financial analyst, and they're pretty close to one another. But I've always did my best to have at least a second job, or sometimes a third job when I have time, because money is good. And that remind me of a story. Very dear friend of mine. We worked at the same company. He was an accountant. I was in the financial department, and he really hated his job. I said, no offense, but maybe you're not meant to be an accountant. I said, no, it's the company and it's the colleagues. I said, no, I'm working with the same people. I'm fine, and they're fine. Everything's fine. You're the only one miserable here. Like, well, and then he moved from the company that he was. I still work there, to another company. And like, so how are things now? Like, miserable. What do you mean miserable? We just moved. Everything's the same. The job's the same. Program's the same. And even the former colleagues are the same, because people move from one company to another. I said, you know what? I told you the problem wasn't people, right? It was you. So I think he quit. I don't know what he does now, but he looks happier.
I am so much happier that people now. It isn't that I'm not grateful to QVC and HSN. I got to be on air for 30 years. I became a TV personality. I mean, but
and being a TV personality helps the podcast a lot, I assume.
It does help the podcast a lot, but it also, I'm so comfortable in front of a camera that I see where, although I changed my life, I still have the continuity of putting on TV makeup, getting the lighting right, getting in front of a camera. I don't work with a script, but I do work with notes, like what are the major points we want to get across in the podcast today, or the short video. And so I was able to take a whole chunk of what I learned from television and fashion and move it into the realm of social media and influencer and podcast host. And I have to say, it's working out beautifully. So if there's anybody out there who thinks, oh, I feel so stagnant, so stale in what I'm doing, you know what? Recognize your skills. Just make a little list. What I love about my life, what I don't like about my life, and what I'm going to do about it. What are my talents? How much do I use them? And can I transfer them to another area? And you may, like me, just find that you just feel reborn. I am so excited about my life now.
You kind of were reborn because, that's a major shift, yet you kind of were able to keep all of your skills and to use them. So that was pretty awesome. And for final, if you happen to have, and I'm sure you have, or at least I hope you have, an advice for those that are right now watching, is my job for me? Am I happy? Am I not happy? If you have one advice, what would it be?
Happiness is everything. And I mean, yeah, money makes us happy.
Yeah,
but if you are in a toxic environment, you are going to hurt yourself somewhere along the way.
I know a lot of rich and miserable people.
Or you're going to wind up with a lot of health issues in middle age, because those toxins from being unhappy are just pumping through your body. Well, for me, I took a chance. I took a leap of faith, and it was transformational. Yeah, less money, more happiness. I say, even if you're dipping your little toe in the water of doing something new, do it and try it. And if you are going into middle age or old age, like me, it's never too late to reinvent yourself. It is never too late to have a second and a third success in life, and realize this is your life. It is so precious. Be happy, make the most of it. And here's the one thing that I get to do now. I get to make people around me happy. And that is invaluable. That is everything.
That's priceless. That reminded me, I had that supervisor. He was an older gentleman. I think he was in like 70s, mid 70s, something. He was doing like remarkably well in life, right? Houses, yachts, everything. And I was working for him, and he had a heart attack. He was hospitalized and everything. I went to see him. I said, "How you doing?" I said, "Great, actually, great." I said, "How are you great with a heart attack? You pick one, because you can't have both." But I don't remember last time I slept so well. Now, because normally I'm a gentleman. I wouldn't hit a 75-year-old man in the face when he's lying in a hospital. So it took you a heart attack for you to sleep a little bit more. That's it. That's what you're trying to tell me. You're like, yeah, well, being rich doesn't mean you're smart. I'm like, okay, fine. I can't be angry at you no more. But yeah,
that too. But I just I'm very. Usually I don't give myself much credit, because I always want to use my energy to do more and do better and do bigger and do greater. But I have to say, I'm really pleased with myself. I took a chance. It was a sort of 1 in a million thing. Like, people said, "Diane, you can barely send an email. What are you doing on social media? How are you?" Well, it has nothing to do with technology. Other people can do that for you. It has to do with, what's your message? Is it for the better good? I mean, there's a million reasons why. You can always talk yourself out of a new move or taking a chance. But I think it's just part of the human composition for growth. And growth is what you want. So yeah, you're looking at a happy camper here.
And as I said, you do look remarkably happy.
Thank you.
That said, Diane, you mentioned a few times, we should do part 2, by the way, sometimes. But
okay.
You mentioned a few books. Please send me the links about the books as well. You know, somebody might want to buy them.
We will. Yeah. Too Young to Be Old is really a woman's book, and it just outlines a very improbable rise to success for me with my family. I had to make a choice, family or fashion. And in the end, I chose fashion, right decision for me. And not many people have to do that. If I had a child, which I don't, but if I did, and that child said to me at 3 or 4 years old, I know what I want to do, I would do everything in my power to help them. But I got the exact opposite family, just karma. But
Whatever
you know
happens,
what?
happens for the best.
Yeah, and I've climbed 1,000,000 Mount Everests in my lifetime and always gotten to the top. So, you know, here I am again saying, okay, I'm 78 years old. My whole family lives to be 95, 98. I've got 20 years. What am I? Well, I'm just going to sit here and do nothing? No, I'm going to represent my generation and show what I think is a different attitude towards aging that I call modern aging. So maybe that'll be our second part 2 thing. So
I'm fine with it. Absolutely. With that said,
well,
Dan,
thank you.
huge thanks for being with me. I love talking to you. Definitely part 2 coming up.
Great.
And don't forget to send me all the links.
We will. All right. Thank you so much.
Bye. Guys, I hope this one was useful. Please follow the channel on YouTube, Rumble, Twitter, Gap, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Ring the bell and all the good stuff. Have a nice week ahead, and I'll see you next Sunday.